In professional basketball, competition is, well, it's everything. It's the engine behind the game. But what happens when that fire burns a little too hot? When it just completely spills over? That's what we're digging into today. We're looking at the moment a regular NBA game between the Detroit Pistons and the Charlotte Hornets went from competitive to pure chaos. We're going to see exactly how a single foul spiraled into an all-out brawl.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the one foul that lit the fuse. Then we're going blow by blow through the brawl itself. After that, we'll see who got ejected, how both teams tried to justify what went down, and finally, how the tension just kept on boiling.
And really, this quote from Pistons center Jalen Duren kind of says it all, doesn't it? Emotions were flaring. It's so simple, but it gets right to the heart of what happened. This wasn't just about strategy or points on a board. This was raw human emotion taking over.
Okay, let's get right into it. Part 1, a foul ignites fury. We're going to zero in on that one single moment. A play that should have been forgotten seconds later, but instead became the flashpoint for the whole night.
So picture it. It's the third quarter. Pistons versus Hornets. It's a tough game. Players are going hard. You know, a pretty standard night in the NBA. Or so you think. Because with a little more than 7 minutes left in the third, the entire script got flipped.
And you can see just how fast it happened. It all starts with a pretty routine foul, Diabate on Duren. But instead of just shooting free throws, they get right up in each other's faces, literally head to head. And then comes the moment there's no turning back from. Duren shoves Diabate, open hand, right to the face. That was it. That was the spark. And that spark, it ignited a full-on explosion. The next 30 seconds were just complete and utter mayhem. So let's try to make sense of it blow by blow. Okay, so follow this. It all kicks off with Duren's push. 5 seconds later, Diabate throws a punch right back. Duren starts to walk away, but then, bam, at about the 10-second mark, Miles Bridges comes flying in and throws a punch of his own. And that's when the floodgates open. Stewart sees this, leaves the bench, and makes a beeline for Bridges. 20 seconds in, Stewart has Bridges in a headlock and is just unloading. It was absolute madness. All right, so after the dust settles, or tries to settle, you have the consequences. Section 3, the ejections. This is where the officials have to step in and clean up the mess. And this number really tells the story of how serious this was. 4. Not 1, not 2, 4 players were immediately tossed out of the game. That's a huge deal and shows you just how far over the line this thing went. So let's look at the lineup of who got the boot. For the Pistons, it was Jalen Duren, the guy who threw that first push, and Stewart, who came off the bench and really escalated things. For the Hornets, Moussa Diabate, who was on the receiving end of that push, and Miles Bridges, who charged in to back his guy up. And get this, it was so out of control that police actually had to come onto the court to help get everything calmed down. I mean, think about that. You almost never see that happen. It went way beyond a simple on-court scuffle. So what was the official reason? Well, crew chief John Goebel kept it simple. He said they were all ejected because they engaged in fighting activity during the dead ball. To the refs, the rule's the rule, and this was a clear violation. Now, let's step back from the action and get into the mindset here. Section 4, justifying the fight. Because after the punches stopped, the spin started. And believe me, there were two very different ways of looking at this. So first up, the Pistons side of things. For them, it was all about self-defense. Their take was basically, hey, they crossed the line first, and our guy had to defend himself. In their eyes, their players were just reacting to an aggression they didn't start. But yeah, the Hornets, they had a completely different story. Miles Bridges hopped on Instagram and laid it all out. Sorry, Hornets Nation, always going to protect my teammates forever. See, for him, it wasn't about who threw the first punch. It was about loyalty. It was about standing up for your teammate. So you end up with these two totally clashing stories, right? The Pistons are saying, we acted in self-defense, they crossed the line. The Hornets are saying, this was about protecting our guys, about team solidarity. Same fight, two completely different justifications. Now you'd think that after all that, 4 guys ejected, police on the court, things would finally cool down, right? Wrong. This thing was far from over. Which brings us to our last section, the tension just boiling over. Incredibly, they actually had to finish playing the game. The Pistons ended up getting the win, 110-104. But the vibe in that arena was just electric. The tension was so thick you could feel it, and it was just waiting for another reason to snap.
And that snap, it came in the form of one more ejection. Only this time, it wasn't a player, it was a head coach.
You heard that right. Hornets coach Charles Lee got himself tossed midway through the fourth. He was absolutely furious about a no call and got so worked up arguing that one of his own players, Brandon Miller, had to physically pull him back. It just shows you how that raw emotion from the brawl was still bubbling right under the surface for everybody.
Which really brings us back to the big question, doesn't it? The whole night started with a simple foul, it ended with 5 ejections, cops on the hardwood, and a coach being restrained by his own player. It really makes you wonder, in the heat of battle, when emotions are flaring, where exactly is that line between competition and confrontation? And man, how terrifyingly easy is it to cross?